We begin this hour with the news that former Trump national security advisor and vocal Trump critic John Bolton is likely the next name to be checked off of Trump's enemies list as President Trump continues to use the Department of Justice to settle scores. MSNBC has learned that the acting U.S. attorney in Maryland is moving forward quickly to seek criminal charges against Bolton over improperly keeping classified information in his Maryland home, with charges possibly coming as early as next week. Two others have already been checked off of that list: New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was indicted on Thursday, and another vocal Trump critic, former FBI Director James Comey, who was arraigned in a Virginia courthouse earlier this week. Both come just weeks after Trump posted a message on his social media platform to his Attorney General Pam Bondi, directing her to prosecute them because, as Trump put it, they are all guilty as hell. NBC News has confirmed that Trump never meant for the public to see this post. He was apparently trying to message Pam directly and was surprised to learn he screwed it up, according to an administration official. It is just another example of the grossly inappropriate relationship Trump has with his DOJ, though in her congressional testimony this week, Attorney General Bondi would have you believe that her department is not working for the benefit of just one person.
I pledged that I would end the weaponization also of the Justice Department, and that America would once again have a one-tier system of justice for all. And that is what we are doing in this country. Weaponization under Donald Trump has ended. It has ended.
Yeah. Joining us now, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, welcome back to the weekend. It's still early in the morning, so I'm trying not to howl with laughter at what we just heard from the Attorney General. But is she correct? Has the quote-unquote weaponization of the Department of Justice ended under Donald Trump, or has it only just begun?
I mean, that's all it is. Trump has taken control of the Department of Justice. She goes over to the White House frequently in order to get orders. Everybody saw that social media post where he was directing her what to do. And, you know, that's what's so interesting about all of these prosecutions against his political foes. Generally, making a claim of vindictive prosecution or selective prosecution is an extremely difficult thing to do because the government's internal processes are inscrutable. The world doesn't see them. But since he conducts everything out in the open, he's been totally clear that this is all about vindictive policies based on revenge and vengeance. And he's put it all out there, and she's just his, willing pawn in the game.
He's saying they're, quote, guilty as hell. Translation, go find some reason to go prosecute them.
Yeah, I mean, they're guilty of speaking the truth about Donald Trump or opposing him on some particular policy, and that is the cardinal offense during the Trump era, that you've somehow stood against the president. And so go find something, go find anything we can use to mobilize against these people.
One of the things that, as a kind of political matter, right, and for all of you who are trying to make sure the country understands what's happening, is that we are living in at least two different realities. And there's a set of the country who are getting a completely separate and different and wrong, muddied, watered set of facts in this case, right? Donald Trump has said for a very long time that he's just going to do the thing to them that they did to me. And when you talk to Republicans, whether they're in the House, they're your colleagues, or folks that are just walking around and have voted for Donald Trump 3 times, they just believe that to their core. So I guess how do we as a country get to a place where we look at this what's happening at the DOJ and we can all agree, like, this is not how it's supposed to work? They can say they want it to work like that, but agree that it's not supposed to work this way.
Well, for those people who are inculcated in the Fox propaganda machine, that's hopeless. But that's not most of the country. Why hopeless?
Because they're still here.
Convincing them on, Comey or something like that, that's where the propaganda sinks in. But here's what's happening. While they're focused on the vendetta campaign against Trump's opponents, they are also conducting this war against the middle class, against Medicaid, against Medicare, against Social Security, against the Affordable Care Act. They're suffering serious defections right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there. She sounds like a Democrat right now in speaking the truth about what's taking place. They control the House, the Senate, the White House. They've shut the government down in order to perpetuate their policies of denying Affordable Care Act tax credits to the American people in order to strip $800 billion from the Medicaid program. Congressman Van Drew, a conservative Republican from southern New Jersey, says that this health care policy is morally bankrupt and politically stupid for the Republicans to be engaged in. So there's big-time erosion taking place on a daily basis as their position becomes unsustainable. They're not coming to work. If any federal worker shouldn't be paid for the last 2 weeks, it's a Republican congressman and a Republican senator.
Now others as well. It doesn't need a meaningful factual basis to invoke the Insurrection Act, claim something's an insurrection or civil disorder. But that's why cities need to make sure that we are documenting that city municipal authorities are handling whatever everyday problems cities have. But it will not take a lot. He does not, and it may not take anything at all, just how he happens to wake up, on what side of the bed he wakes up in the morning. But Jonathan, I will point out that Trump is predictable. They have telegraphed everything they're going to do. They actually wrote it all out in Project 2025. You know, the thing he knew nothing about during the election.
Right.
And so we're in a position to really kind of anticipate what they're going to do. And I'm proud that the courts have been holding up and AGs have been enforcing the law to the extent we have jurisdiction.
AG, language matters, and the language that politicians use really matters, and the way that they describe groups of people changes the way other Americans see them, and it helps change policy. I want you to listen to both Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the AG of the United States, Pam Bondi, at an Antifa roundtable earlier this week.
Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa.
This network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years.
For our viewers, Antifa means anti-fascist. It's also not a group in the same way that we think of organizations, right? There's no leader. It is more of an ideology. So what do you think they're signaling when they are saying they are as sophisticated or as the same as MS-13 and TDA, which they have talked about wanting to eradicate out of the United States? What does that language tell you they are trying to signal to the American people?
Well, I want to caution people to not just dismiss this as utter stupidity, because it is utter stupidity. It's fact-free, it's lies, it's ridiculous, but it is dangerous for that very reason. Because if there really is no Antifa as an institution organization, then anybody who's associated with Antifa-like ideas, can be persecuted. All you have to do is say, prove you're not Antifa. Well, how can you prove a negative? And suddenly they're just going to be able to use that to justify suppressing speech, arresting people, deploying ICE, deploying National Guard, deploying military. So the fact that there is nobody even knows what it is. The first person I ever heard use the word Antifa was Donald J. Trump. When
the news segment begins with a thunderclap. Former Trump National Security Advisor and vocal critic John Bolton is reportedly about to face criminal charges for allegedly storing classified documents in his Maryland home. But this isn't just another legal case. It's a move that fits a disturbing pattern.
I want you to listen
Bolton's name now joins the list of Trump's most outspoken opponents, Letitia James, James Comey, all of whom have found themselves under the Department of Justice's microscope at suspiciously convenient moments. It feels less like impartial justice
Just
and
like
more
we
like
did
a
with
score-settling
cartels.
operation.
We're going to take the
unease
same
deepens when
approach,
you realize
President Trump,
this isn't
with
speculation.
Antifa.
A social
This
media
network of
post from Trump
Antifa is
himself,
just as
one he
sophisticated
accidentally made
as
public, revealed
MS-13,
direct
as
orders to his
TDA,
Attorney
as
General,
ISIS,
Pam
as
Bondi,
Hezbollah, as
prosecute
Hamas,
them.
as all of them.
They're guilty
They
as
are
hell.
just as
That single
dangerous. They
post
have an
exposed a
agenda
truth
to
many had
destroy
feared
us,
that
just
DOJ,
like the other
once a
terrorists
pillar
we've
of
dealt with
impartial
for
law
many, many
enforcement,
years.
is being twisted into
For
a
our
personal
viewers,
weapon.
Antifa means
Yet, when
anti-fascist.
Bondi stands
It's also
before Congress,
not
she
a
claims that the
group in the
weaponization
same
of the
way that we
Justice
think
Department
of
has ended. The
organizations.
denial
Right?
would
There's
almost be
no
laughable
leader.
if it weren't so
It is more of an
dangerous.
ideology.
Congressman Jamie
So
Raskin
what do
puts
you
it
think they're
bluntly. Trump isn't
signaling
hiding
when they are
anything. He's
saying
giving commands
they are as
openly, turning legal
sophisticated or as the
actions into
same as
political theater.
MS-13
Normally,
and
proving selective
TDA, which
prosecution
they
is difficult
have
because these
talked about wanting
processes
to
are hidden.
eradicate
But Trump
out
does
of the United
everything in the
States. What does
spotlight
that
like a strong
language
man
tell
who
you
wants
they
the
are
world to
trying
know who
to
holds the
signal to the
sword.
American people?
And while all eyes are locked
Well,
on
I
these
want to
personal
caution
vendettas,
people
the administration is
to
quietly
not
advancing
just
policies that
dismiss
cut
this as
Medicaid,
utter stupidity.
Medicare, and the
Because
Affordable
it is
Care
utter
Act,
stupidity.
undermining millions
It's
of Americans.
fact-free,
Adding
it's
fuel to the
lies,
fire
it's
is the rhetoric
ridiculous,
around Antifa.
but it is
Officials
dangerous
like
for
Kristi
that
Noem and
very
Bondi
reason.
are comparing this
Because if
loosely
there
defined
really
movement
is
to
no
ISIS and
Antifa
MS-13,
as an
a
institution
baseless but
organization,
dangerous narrative.
then anybody who's
Antifa isn't an
associated
organization with leaders or
Antifa
structure.
like
It's an
ideas,
idea, and labeling it as terrorism
can be
allows the
persecuted.
government to justify
All you have to do
crackdowns,
is say,
surveillance, and even
prove you're
military
not
deployment
Antifa.
against
How can you
anyone
prove
they
a
want.
negative?
Its
And
fear is a
suddenly
political
they're just going to be able to
plain
use
and
that to
simple.
justify
And looming behind it
suppressing
all is
speech,
Trump's well-known
arresting
playbook.
people,
He telegraphs his
deploying
intentions
ICE,
and then acts
deploying
on them.
National
Of
Guard,
critics, the
deploying
inflammatory
military.
language, the
So
hints
the
of
fact
invoking the Insurrection
that there
Act.
is
None
no-
of this is accidental.
what
This moment
nobody
is
even
more
knows
than
what
a
it
clash
is.
of parties.
The first
It's a
person
test of the
I
rule of
ever
law
heard use
itself.
the word Antifa
The question
was
is no
Donald
longer
J.
whether
Trump.
Trump will push the
When,
boundaries of power.
he was
It's
going
how
on
far those
about how
boundaries will
there were
bend
good
and
people on
whether the
both
country
sides
will
in
push back
Charlottesville.
before
That's
they
the
break.
first